You know what's scary? Some people don't want you to lose. They just don't want you to win too much. They'll like your photos, they'll laugh at your jokes, they'll even tell you, I'm proud of you. But the moment your life actually starts leveling up, a new job, a healthier body, a business taking off, a relationship that's finally peaceful, something shifts. And it's not loud. It's not obvious. It's not hate. It's this quiet little energy change that makes you think, wait, am I imagining this? Have you ever shared good news and the room got colder? Like you could feel it in the air. The smile stayed on their face, but their eyes didn't match it. Or you notice they suddenly get quiet when people compliment you. They check their phone, they interrupt, they change the subject fast. And later, you walk away feeling weird, guilty, almost like you did something wrong by doing well. Let me tell you the truth, most people never learn. When you grow, you don't just upgrade your life, you upgrade your social dynamics. And if you don't understand what's happening, you'll start shrinking yourself just to keep the peace. You'll stop posting your wins, stop talking about your goals, stop celebrating your progress. Not because you're not proud, but because you don't want to deal with the tension. But here's the good part. There are patterns, there are signs, and once you see them clearly, you stop taking it personally, and you start moving smarter. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how to spot that silent jealousy without paranoia, without drama, and how to protect your energy like your future depends on it. Because it does. Let's get into it. Because it does. And the hardest part isn't even the jealousy. The hardest part is what it does to you. It starts small, quiet, almost polite. You're sitting at dinner with friends, maybe at a little spot downtown, nothing fancy, warm lights, music low, people relaxed. Someone asks you, so how's everything been? And you hesitate for half a second, not because you don't have good news, but because you're already scanning the room. You've learned to read the energy before you speak. You finally say it. Yeah, I got the promotion. And the table reacts. A couple people smile. Someone says, that's amazing. But there's always that one person who pauses just a beat too long. Their smile shows up late. Their eyes flick away. They reach for their water like their throat just got dry. And you feel it. Not as anger, not as hate. More like a subtle resistance. Like your happiness just made the room slightly heavier. So you soften it. You start adding disclaimers. It's not a big deal. I'm still figuring it out. I just got lucky. You shrink the moment so it doesn't threaten anyone. And that right there, that's the real pain. Not that someone doesn't clap for you, but that you start negotiating your own joy. You start doing this thing where you only share your wins in a way that feels safe. You post less, you talk about your goals less, you keep your progress quiet until it's already old news. And you tell yourself you're being humble. But deep down, you know the truth. You're not practicing humility. You're practicing self-protection. Because somewhere along the way, you realize something most people never admit out loud. When you start rising, some people don't leave. They stay close. They still text you back. They still invite you out. They still call you family. But the vibe changes. They get quieter when you speak. They get louder when someone else is praised. They're supportive as long as you're dreaming, but slightly uncomfortable when you're actually becoming. And if you grew up in a culture where peace matters, where you were taught to keep the harmony, to not act too big, to not make people feel bad, this hits even harder because you don't want drama. You don't want to cut people off. You just want to feel safe being happy. And here's where the deeper truth comes in. This isn't just about someone being toxic. This is about how the ego works. When someone is living in a state of scarcity, when they believe love, attention, respect, and success are limited, your growth feels like their loss. Even if you never competed with them, even if you never showed off, your light becomes a mirror and it reflects back everything they've been avoiding in themselves. That's why their energy shifts when you win. And the moment you understand that, you stop asking, what did I do wrong? And you start asking the question that changes everything. Who has the capacity to be close to me in this season of my life? Who has the capacity to be close to me in this season of my life? That question sounds simple, but it changes the way you see everything. Because once you ask it, you stop making jealousy about good people versus bad people. You start seeing it for what it really is. Most jealousy isn't loud. It doesn't kick the door in and scream, "I'm jealous of you." It sits across from you with a smile that looks normal, but feels empty. It claps for you, but the hands are cold. It says, "Good for you," but the tone quietly whispers, "Must be nice." And if you pay attention, you'll notice something almost spiritual about it. The body stays present, but the heart pulls back. That's why jealousy doesn't always look like hatred. A lot of times it looks like someone who can't relax around your blessings, like your peace irritates their nervous system, like your progress makes their chest tighten. Because jealousy, in its deepest form, is not a desire to destroy you. It's a fear of falling behind. It's the panic of someone who's been measuring their worth by comparison without even realizing it. In America, we talk a lot about confidence, success, being your best self. But underneath all of that, there's this unspoken pressure to stay winning, to stay relevant, to stay chosen, to stay ahead. So when someone near them starts rising, it triggers something ancient inside the ego. If you're moving up, does that mean I'm moving down? And that's the root. It's not always personal. It's positional. They don't hate your personality. They hate what your growth forces them to face. Your discipline reminds them of their procrastination. Your results remind them of their excuses. Your peace reminds them of their chaos. Your new level reminds them they've been stuck on the same one for years. And instead of sitting with that discomfort, breathing through it, and taking responsibility, they project it outward. They turn it into weird energy, passive comments, cold silence, a sudden need to humble you, not because you did something wrong, but because their ego is trying to survive. And here's the part that brings real freedom. When you understand this, you stop carrying resentment like a heavy backpack. You stop replaying conversations at 2 a.m. You stop asking yourself, did I say too much? Was I too excited? Should I have played it smaller? No, you were simply in your light. And their discomfort is not your karma. It's their unhealed attachment to comparison. In Buddhism, there's a simple truth. Attachment creates suffering. And jealousy is just attachment to status, to validation, to the illusion of I need to be above you to be okay. So what do you do with this? You don't become paranoid. You don't become bitter. You become awake. You stop trying to convince people to celebrate you. And you start learning how to recognize who is truly at peace when you shine. And once you can recognize who is truly at peace when you shine, you stop guessing. You stop spiraling. You stop over-explaining your life to people who were never meant to hold it with care. So let me give you something practical. Not paranoia, not drama, a clean, simple system. 3 signs of an energy shift you cannot ignore. And these aren't the obvious they talk bad about you signs. These are the quiet, modern, American-type signs, the ones that show up in group chats, social media, work friendships, and even people you've known for years. Here's the first one. They're loud about your potential and silent about your progress. When you're thinking about starting the business, they're hype. When you're talking about going back to school, they're encouraging. When you say, I might start hitting the gym again, they're like, yes, you got this. But the moment you actually do it, you post the first client. You share the first milestone. You show the before and after. You mention you're finally consistent. They disappear. No comment, no text, no proud of you, just nothing. Because potential is safe. Potential doesn't force them to confront their own life. But progress is proof, and proof makes insecure people uncomfortable. Second sign, they act curious, but it feels like an interview, not a connection. They don't just ask, how are you doing? They ask, how much are you making now? So who put you on? Where exactly are you moving? How did you get that opportunity? And at first, you think it's love. You think they're excited, but something about it feels off. They're collecting details, not celebrating you, like their eyes are taking notes. And later, you'll catch it. A little comment that shows they've been replaying your life in their head. Or you find out they accidentally shared your news with someone you never told. That's when you realize some people don't ask questions to understand you. They ask questions to position you, to compare, to measure, to keep score. Third sign, they don't attack you directly. They quietly train you to shrink yourself. This one is the most dangerous because it's so subtle you can miss it for years. You share something good and they hit you with must be nice. Oh, okay, love that for you. Yeah, I mean, it's cool. Don't get too ahead of yourself, though. Just stay humble. And it's said with a smile, but it lands like a cold hand on your shoulder. So you start dimming your light without even noticing it. You stop speaking up in meetings, you stop posting your wins, you stop sharing your goals, not because you lost ambition, but because you don't want the energy to shift again. And listen, this is where you practice wisdom, not hatred. In Buddhism, we talk about mindfulness. This is mindfulness, noticing what's real without getting consumed by it. Because when someone's energy consistently changes the moment you rise, that's not random. That's information. And if you've been seeing these signs, don't panic. Just get honest. Because the next step isn't revenge. The next step is protecting your peace in a way that keeps your heart clean and your future safe. And if you've been seeing these signs, don't panic. Just get present. Because your peace doesn't need you to be suspicious of everyone. It needs you to be honest about patterns. So here are 3 signs of an energy shift you cannot ignore. Not the loud stuff. Not the obvious hate. The subtle modern kind that shows up in real American life. Group chats, social media, happy hours, work friendships, even family cookouts. Sign number 1, they're excited for your idea, but weird about your results. When you're still in the someday stage, they're all in. Girl, you should totally start that. Bro, that's going to be huge. You're going to kill it, I already know. But then you actually do it. You post your first client, you share your first check, you announce your new apartment, you show up looking healthier, clearer, more confident. And suddenly, they're quiet. Not even a congrats, not even a heart emoji, just silence. And you feel that little sting in your chest like, wait, weren't you just hyping me up? Here's the deeper truth. Your potential is entertaining. Your progress is confronting, because when you start winning for real, it forces them to look at what they've been avoiding in their own life. Sign number 2, they ask questions that don't feel like love. They feel like surveillance. It starts casual. So what's your salary now? Wait, how did you get that connection? Who are you working with? Where exactly are you moving? Is it like expensive? And you answer because you're open-hearted, because you assume good intentions. But something in your body stays tense. It's like they're listening, but not to understand you. They're listening to compare themselves. They're building a little scoreboard in their mind. And later, you notice how your private information becomes public conversation. Somebody you barely know says, "Oh, I heard you're making good money now." And your stomach drops, because now you understand some people don't want to celebrate your life. They want to study it, to find the part where they can feel bigger, safer, or ahead. Sign number 3. They don't criticize you directly. They slowly train you to dim your own light. This is the quietest form of jealousy. It hides inside jokes. You share good news and they say, smiling, "Must be nice. Okay, we see you." Don't get too confident now. Just stay humble. And the words sound harmless, but the energy feels like a cold breeze. So you start editing yourself. You stop sharing wins. You stop talking about goals. You stop letting yourself be fully excited, not because you changed, but because you don't want to deal with the weird vibe that comes after. And listen, this is where wisdom comes in. In Buddhism, mindfulness means seeing clearly without hatred. So don't hate them. Just notice. Because when someone consistently gets uncomfortable when you rise, that's not love. That's attachment to comparison. And once you see these signs, you're no longer confused. Now you can move with calm, with boundaries, and with a clean heart. Now you can move with calm, with boundaries, and with a clean heart. Let me make it real for you, because this isn't just theory. This shows up in everyday life in the most normal places. Picture this. It's a Thursday night after work, one of those casual networking mixers downtown, string lights, name tags, a little bar in the corner, people holding drinks they barely sip. Everybody's smiling like they're fine, even though half the room is tired. You walk in and you spot someone you know. Her name is Emily. Emily's been around for a while, not your best friend, not your enemy, just in your circle. You hug, you laugh, you do the usual, "Oh my God, how have you been?" And then Emily leans in and says, real sweet, real soft, "I saw your post. That's amazing. I'm proud of you." You feel warm, because that's all you ever wanted, support, not competition. A few minutes later, you're standing in a small group. A couple people from your industry, one guy in a blazer, someone talking about brand strategy like it's a religion. Then the guy looks at you and says, "So what do you do?" And you answer, simple, grounded, I just launched my own consulting business. The group lights up. No way. That's huge. Congrats. You're smiling, trying not to overdo it, trying to keep it humble, but you're happy. And then you feel it. Emily shifts, not dramatically, just enough. Her smile freezes for half a second. She glances down at her drink. Her shoulders tighten like she forgot how to breathe. And right when someone says, "That's really impressive," Emily jumps in with this little laugh. Well, it's still early. We'll see how it goes. She says it like she's being realistic, like she's being supportive, but it lands like a tiny needle. Then she adds, I mean, honestly, everybody's starting a business these days. And the whole moment changes. The energy doesn't explode, it deflates. You can feel yourself doing that thing again, the shrinking. Oh yeah, you say, forcing a light tone. It's nothing crazy, I'm just trying it out. But inside you're thinking, why did I just downplay my own dream in front of people who were ready to respect me? That's the part most people miss. Jealousy doesn't always try to ruin your life. Sometimes it just tries to steal your moment because moments create momentum. Moments open doors. Moments build reputation. And when someone can't handle you having a moment, it's not because you're doing too much. It's because your growth triggers their fear of being unseen. Their ego starts grabbing the spotlight like a hungry child. And listen, I'm not saying Emily is evil. This is the Buddhist part. Compassion without attachment. Emily is suffering too, because a person who is truly at peace doesn't compete with their friends. They celebrate. They expand. They feel joy in your joy. So if you've ever been in a room like that where you felt yourself dim just to keep the vibe comfortable, take a breath. You're not weak. You're just waking up. And once you wake up, you get to choose a different move. And once you wake up, you get to choose a different move. Not a messy move, not a petty move, not a let me cut everybody off move, a wise move. Because the goal isn't to punish people. The goal is to protect your peace and keep your heart clean while you grow. So here are 3 smart moves you can start making today. Quietly, calmly, with zero drama. Move number 1, stop giving people the blueprint. Give them the finished product. A lot of us overshare when we're excited. We tell people the plan while it's still fragile. I'm thinking about launching this. I'm talking to this company. I might be moving soon. I'm working on something big. And then we wonder why the energy shifts. Listen to me. Not everyone deserves access to the seed. Some people only know how to handle the fruit. So keep your next move private until it's solid. Let your work speak first. Let results introduce you. That's not secrecy. That's wisdom. Move number 2. Choose where you celebrate. Some wins are not meant for the group chat. Some wins are not meant for the family table. Some wins are not meant for the coworker who's been friendly but feels a little off. In Buddhism, we talk about right environment. Even a strong mind, because even a strong mind can get tired in the wrong energy. So don't throw your blessings into rooms where people are still drowning in comparison. Celebrate with the people who can smile without needing to compete. The ones who say, that's incredible, tell me more, and you can feel their heart is open. Your circle matters. Your nervous system knows. Move number 3, stop explaining yourself to people who benefit from misunderstanding you. This one is hard, especially if you were raised to keep the peace. You might feel the need to smooth things over, to reassure them, to make them comfortable. So when they say something like, must be nice, you start shrinking again. You start proving you're still humble. You start listing your struggles so they don't feel threatened. But here's the truth. The right people don't need you to shrink. They don't need you to struggle out loud just to feel safe around you. So when someone shows you that they can't hold your joy, don't argue. Don't convince. Don't perform. Just adjust access. You can still be kind. You can still be respectful. But you don't have to keep offering your light to people who keep flinching at it. And if you're wondering, am I being too cold? No. You're practicing boundaries with compassion. That's maturity. That's spiritual strength. Because protecting your energy doesn't mean you hate anyone. It just means you finally love yourself enough to stop leaking your peace. And the moment you do that, you stop shrinking. You stop apologizing for your growth. And you start rising with calm confidence, like you were always meant to. And you start rising with calm confidence, like you were always meant to. And listen, If this has been happening to you, I need you to hear me clearly. You are not crazy. You are not too sensitive. You are not imagining things. You're just becoming more aware. And awareness can feel lonely at first, because once you start seeing energy clearly, you can't unsee it. You can't go back to laughing at jokes that feel sharp underneath. You can't go back to sharing your dreams with people who secretly hope you stay where you are. You can't go back to shrinking yourself just to keep the vibe comfortable. That's not arrogance, that's growth. And sometimes growth comes with a quiet grief. You realize a few people weren't walking with you, they were walking beside you as long as you didn't pass them. You realize some friendships were built on familiarity, not alignment, on history, not support. And that can hurt, because you're not trying to be better than anyone. You're just trying to be better than who you used to be. So if you feel that tension right now, if you've been losing your appetite to share good news, if you've been editing your joy, if you've been praying for peace while your circle feels heavy, I want you to take a deep breath. This is not a sign that you're doing life wrong. This is a sign that you're leveling up. In Buddhism, there's a teaching that everything changes. Nothing stays the same. That includes friendships. That includes energy. That includes the version of you that people got used to. And it's okay. You can still love people and love yourself enough to set boundaries. You can still be kind without being accessible to everyone. You can still have compassion while protecting your future, because your next season needs space. Your next season needs peace. Your next season needs people who don't flinch when you shine. So let today be the day you stop apologizing for your growth. Let today be the day you stop offering your dreams to people who treat them like a threat. And let today be the day you choose a circle that feels like safety, a circle that celebrates you out loud, a circle that claps when you win, a circle that doesn't need you to stay small for them to feel big. If this message hit your heart, I want you to comment one word: awake. So I know I'm not talking to a wall, I'm talking to people who are rising. And if you want part 2, where I give you 5 calm, powerful sentences to set boundaries without drama, follow and stay close. You're not alone. You're just becoming who you were always meant to be.